We are in the introductions of Siddur Zichron Dovid, and we spoke yesterday about started the morning routine. We spoke about the Netilat Yadayim and Asher Yetzar, and we got to the bracha of Elokiy. Okay? So, first of all, we have here a couple of lines of English that basically we're saying that the Elokiy is connected with the Asher Yetzar, right? Saying Asher Yetzar, finishing that bracha, and then we're starting right away the Elokiy. Why do we need to put it together? So the answer is that the Rofeh Kol Basar Mfli Lasod, the bracha of Asher Yetzar, is related with the Sfira of Chokhmah, right? And as we know from the beginning of the Siddur, this chart over here in the opening, Chokhmah is correspond to Abba, right? And then the second bracha of Elokiy is Bina / Ima. So by saying those two brachot together, Asher Yetzar first and then Elokiy, we doing the connection of Chokhmah and Bina, or Abba and Ima, basically saying the same thing in different words. And this is the basic meditation that we put here for this bracha of Elokiy. Now, I want to add you another point that we don't have here in English. And if you look in the words, so we have here, Neshama shenatata bi tehora, then ata berata, ata yetzarta, ata nefachta. Right? So again, we have tehora, is the highest world of Atzilut. Ata berata, the creation is the Bria, right? Then we have Yetzarta, is the Yetzira. Nefachtabi is the Asiya. Okay? So we have all of the four worlds in this bracha of Elokiy. Okay?
Is highest.
Now, those three first brachot, Al Netilat Yadayim, Asher Yetzar, and Elokiy. Yeah? By the way, today is the Yorset of the Rashash. So I'm gonna give you some like extra insights about what we're learning from the Rashash in the honor of his Yorset, and Bli Neder, for the end of the shiur, I'll tell you the story about the Rashash. So we have three brachot. Yeah, Netilat Yadayim, Asher Yetzar, and Elokiy. Rashash says this is the Keter Chokhmah Bina, right? So I just told you about the Asher Yetzar and Elokiy, that is Chokhmah and Bina. Now I'm adding that the Netilat Yadayim is related to Keter. So what we spoke about yesterday, that in the 13 words of the bracha of Al Netilat Yadayim, we bring the abundance of the 13 attributes that is coming from Keter, right? Arich and Pin, Keter. And then we're going down to Chokhmah and Bina in Asher Yetzar and Elokiy to make this connection. So we have all of the three sfirot set up. And then we're starting 18 blessings. Okay? The Ashkenaz Nosach, so we serve first the Birkot Torah. In the Sephardi Nosach that we have here in the Siddur, so the Birkot Torah is in the end. But doesn't matter like if the Birkot Torah is in the beginning of the end, but altogether from after those three to the end of the Birkot HaShachar, there's 18 blessings. Okay? So what is the meaning of these 18 blessings? So after we have the first three, we go down to the what we called Vak. We have Gar and Vak. You know these concepts? Gar is the first three sfirot, which is the top part. And then we have Vak, the 6 lower sfirot. Or Zat, the 7 lower sfirot with the Malchut. Yeah? All of those is the same thing. So those 18 blessings, in a certain way, I'm not going to like get into the details of it because that's like much more advanced, and we are like in the beginner siddur here. So, but those 18 blessings are related to the lower part. After we got the first three, which is the top part, then we're going down and we're doing the tikkun of the lower part of the vak. So altogether with those Birkot HaShachar, yeah. So we have 21 Birkot HaShachar altogether, yeah, top 3 and then 18. So there is 21 Birkat HaShachar. We're basically covering all of the Sfirot of the Asiyah. Okay? All of the Sfirot of the world of Asiyah. Okay. So, from all of those 18 blessings, we have a little paragraph here about the bracha of Malbish Erumim, and it's also related to Anotan Le'ayaf Koach. Those two brachot have special meaning. Besides of their place in the big structure that I just explained, they have also another meaning. So let's read this paragraph. Yeah?
When we do mitzvos, we create garments for the soul. And when we break the mitzvos, Hashem forbid, we weaken them or destroy them. When we say the blessing of Malvish Arumim, basically we're asking for Hashem's mercy to return to us the garments we do not deserve. When we say Noten Layav Koach, that is, in the case that those garments became weak, we ask Hashem to give those garments strength.
Okay? So those two brachot and this little idea that we just read is very, very significant, because people are not perfect, right? Hashem is perfect, we are not perfect, and part of not being perfect is that even though we trying to create those spiritual garments, but many times we're doing things that are not the right thing to do, and then we're losing those garments, right? So what can you do? So first of all, we're praying to Hashem to keep those garments for us. Yeah, that's, by the way, it's related. The same principle is also when we're saying al chasidim la tzadikim no the bracha in the Amidah. Right, al tzadikim ועל החסידים, right? So we're saying the words v'sim chelkenu imahem, put our portion with them. So the Arizal explains what does it mean to put our portion with them, with those tzadikim and chasidim. The Arizal says that those garments that we were just discussing, if we did something that caused us to lose those garments, God forbid, and then nothing is really getting lost, just we lost them, but it's not that it got lost. So Hashem is doing something with them. What Hashem is doing with those garments, if somebody is losing his garments, is giving it to someone that is proper for him to get those garments, meaning tzaddikim. Yeah. So people that lost their garments that they created, so those garments are given to other tzaddikim. Okay. So when we're saying sim chelkenu imahem, put those garments that we are losing by tzaddikim, that they don't want to have the pleasure of something they didn't work for. Okay. There is tzaddikim like that. For example, we know about Shmuel HaNavi. Right? It says about Shmuel HaNavi, he didn't want to have pleasure from something that he didn't work for. So he was going around Eretz Israel with a tent. He didn't want people to host him.
Sure.
Right? There is tzaddikim like that they don't want to have portion of other people. They want to, whatever they're working for. There was one time that there was a rabbi that I wanted to make him a cup of tea. He said, Chas v'shalom, you make me a cup of tea, Chas v'shalom, I can make myself a cup of tea, why you not? I said, like, what's going on? I just want to make him a cup of tea. No, for him it was like, what are you talking about? I have my legs, I'm healthy, why should someone else do it for me? So for me, it's like, I think about the opposite.
I think to make you do mitzvah.
To do mitzvah. What's the problem? But there is people like that. There is tzaddikim like that they don't want to have any benefit of other people. If they didn't work for it, they don't want to have benefit. So basically, we're praying to Hashem that if we lost our garments, that it will be given to those tzaddikim that they don't want to use it themselves. So basically, they are holding it for us until we will be worthy again to receive those garments. Okay. Now, so that's what does it mean? It means to do tshuva, right? When someone is doing tshuva, so he's going back to be in the state of being worthy to receive those garments that he lost by sin, right? So that's the in that time between the sin and the tshuva, somebody that his garments went to someone that wants to get the benefit of them. So now you have to walk again to make new garments, right? So then he says, Malbish Arumim. Yeah? I don't have garments. I need to have like spiritual garments, right? Can't be naked. My neshama is embarrassed, right? So I'm asking Hashem, please help me to have some garments, right? So this is the bracha of Malbish Arumim. Now, the second possibility, if there is garments but they're very weak, it's also a possibility, right? Somebody that, I'm not saying that as like bottom line, I'm saying that as a like part of the idea of what I was discussing until now. Somebody that he have the desires of doing something and he thinks about it, he plans it, this, that, but he didn't really come to an action. So then it might be that he's weakening his garments, but he didn't really lost them because finally he didn't do the sin. But so much thinking and planning and maybe even speaking about it and so on, so he's weakening his garments. And then we say we have the bracha of Anoten Le'yaf Koch, to strengthen those garments again. Okay, so that's the second bracha. Okay, now there is meditations for each one of those brachot, but that will be maybe in the next edition of the Siddur. For now, we made it basically pshat, the rest of the brachot, until you get to the Birkat Torah. Then we have some halachot there. So let's read it.
Halachot, laws of the blessings of the Torah. Be careful to have full intention when saying the blessings of the Torah. Have in mind all the Torah learning you will be doing until going to sleep that night. Before reciting the blessing of the Torah, it is forbidden to speak or learn words of Torah. However, a person may think or meditate about Torah concepts.
Okay? So we have to say that, because otherwise, what did we do until now? Right? From the moment we woke up, we already started to meditate. So obviously, we have to say that we're allowed to meditate on things that are Torah until we get to say the Birkat Torah, because we have all of those meditations, and so on, right? So meditation is allowed, but speaking is not allowed. Okay?
Have in mind.
What?
Having in mind all the Torah.
Yeah. So Birkat Torah, there's a argument about it in the Machloket, if it is like Birkat Mitzvot or Birkat Ne'enim, or what is it exactly? What is the definition of the Birkat Torah? But basically, we refer to that. Majority of the opinions like Birkat Mitzvot, so the mitzvah of learning Torah that we have through the day. So we're starting in the beginning of the day. We're saying the bracha for the whole day. All of the Torah learning that we'll do in the same day. This is the Birkat Mitzvot for that. Okay.
You said something yesterday. Oh, I think about some things are like for granted. Sometimes you think, okay, this is for sure. Like, when we're talking about tikkunim, like about, okay, this is gonna fix it or not. It's up to Hashem whether it works or not. But here too, you say you don't have to think about intention, because it's like pashut to you. Most people, I think, won't even don't have the intention at that moment, but it's pashut to them that it's for the whole day of Torah. So making extra kavana.
Okay, look, I'm not saying that someone that he didn't do this extra kavana, so he didn't do the bracha for the mitzvah of learning Torah. But lechatchila, we want to do we want to have the kavana for that.
Even though you add something extra to it, I guess.
There is I can give another application of that about the bracha of Na'al Netilat Yadayim. So there is an opinion that is not la'alacha, we're not posken like that every time we are about to go to pray, we have to do Netilat Yadayim when we say the bracha for that. Okay? I think the Vilna Gaon says it, and I think that the Ziblemans here in the old city, they do that.
Yeah, I went to shake a guy's hand, and he's like, I can't. He's like, I watched instead of, I said a bracha.
So, right? So before Mincha, they wash hands and they say Netilat Yadayim.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So, according to the other opinions that we don't have to do, it's not an obligation doing Netilat Yadayim every time before we go to pray. But there is an inyan like that, right? There is many people that do Netilat Yadayim even though they don't say bracha, right? So, if somebody wants to be precise, in the same way that we said about Birkat Torah, when he says the bracha of Netilat Yadayim in the morning, he can have in mind for all of the prayers that he will do in the same day, that he will do Netilat Yadayim. He can't say the bracha every time because the halacha is not like that for the majority of Am Yisrael, but can have in mind for that. So you're only gaining, yeah. Now, if someone didn't do it, okay, didn't do it. So it's not for sure, but you can, it's not obligation, but it's good. Yeah. Now, after the Birkat Torah, everybody have like some psukim and some mishnayot to say. The Ben Ish Chai is in length, is bringing like all kinds of extra mishnayot and verses to say after Birkat Torah. So we printed it, like I said, because it follows the customs of the Ben Ish Chai. But me personally, I don't do that. It's not the Arizal didn't say to do it. It's not brought down in the Siddur Rashash, so I'm not doing it. But it's good, whoever wants to follow this tradition of the Ben Ish Chai, it's a good thing to do.
This pasuk of Hashem Elokiy Vichoneka, I mean, that's Birkat Kohanim. You bring in the whole pasuk here. That's different also.
So those psukim, everybody have them.
Yeah,
but the extra afterwards.
Yeah,
so the idea is that after you say the Birkat Torah, not to have a fsek before you starting to do your learning of Torah. Yeah. So those psukim, it should be the beginning of the learning of the day, right? So we're starting the day with the first learning of those psukim of Birkat Kohanim, which is psukim of blessings, right?
He holds differently in the sense that he's reading the whole pasuk from the beginning, but usually we only read Yivarechecha Hashem.
Okay, that's differences between the nosach.
Okay.
But the point is that we're starting the mitzvah of the learning Torah, and according to the Ben Ish Chai, like I said, there's all kinds of extra prayers. Now we're skipping that, and we're jumping to the next page of mikveh. Okay, ready to jump into the mikveh?
Sure.
Always.
Okay. Yeah.
Immersion in the mikveh. The custom of many mekubalim and those who follow their ways is to go to the mikveh every morning before Shachris, even if they did not have an emission or come into contact with any impurity. One of the reasons one takes this measure is due to the possibility that a little drop of impure emission came out when urinated.
Okay, that's one of the explanation of the Ben Ish Chai. The Ben Ish Chai brings it, and that's it's brought down. It's based on a Mishna in Masechet Mikvot. The Mishna discusses that. Most of the people are not worried about it, but there is a possibility like that. Now another possibility that we didn't discuss here, that there is you heard about the book Reshit Chochmah? I have it here somewhere. Reshit Chochmah.
You told us about it.
Reshit Chochmah is a Rav Eliyahu Midildash, I think his name, that he was one of the students of the Ramak. He was in the same time of the Arizal, in the same generation, but he's basically his Kabbalah is more related to the Ramak and the Zohar, not so much to the Arizal. But many people are learning his book, and they say that the Ben Ish Chai, the Baba Sali, he knew this book by heart. He was like, every time he was finishing the Reshit Chochmah, he was starting again, like again and again and again, through all his life. He was reading the Reshit Chochmah. What?
Ben Ish Chai?
Not the Ben Ish Chai, the Baba Sali.
No, who wrote it?
Who wrote it? Rav Eliyahu Midildash, I think his name is pronounced. Anyhow, so he was one of the like books of Kabbalah. He's quoting basically the majority of the book is quotes of Zohar. He's quoting like many articles of Zohar, but it's divided by subject. Anyhow, one of the things that he writes that is not is bringing from the Zohar, but it's not something that Zohar says explicitly, is that point of the impurity that comes at midnight like negative spirit, whatever you want to call it, that comes at midnight for someone that is not awake. Meaning, yeah, if somebody is following the footsteps of the Arizal and he wakes up for Chatzot, so good for him, Baruch Hashem. So then he's staying pure. Yeah. By the way, the Rashash explains that if we're talking about someone that wakes up in Chatzot and saying the Birkot HaShachar and learning. Somebody that is awake in Chatzot, but is like just hanging around with his friends, is not blocking the impurity there. Yeah. To like somebody that is doing something that is not like mitzvah, Torah, prayer, is not blocking the impurity. But if someone is awake for Chatzot and is doing those things, serving Hashem, so then it blocks this impurity. Now, most of the people, unfortunately, not waking up for Chatzot. So what can we do? Right? There's this impurity that comes in midnight, right? So the Reshit Chochmah brings, that's why we go to the mikveh in the morning when we wake up to get pure from all of those different things that happen through the night, spiritual, physical, whatever it is, right? So that's something that is also another reason except of what the Ben Ish Chai wrote. Yeah?
Going back to sleep after waking up and studying a little bit, do you pass or do you?
Again, let's say more precise. Let's say a guy he had the strength to wake up for Tzod, and he woke up. He said he washed his hands. He said the brachot HaShachar, maybe even at Tikkun Chatzot, learned a little bit, and then he feels exhausted. He have to go back to sleep. Yeah. So for that, the Rashash and the Arizal brings, yes, go back to sleep, but you have to wake up for dawn. Okay? So there's not so much time to sleep. You can like put your head down and rest a little bit, but you have to be awake for dawn and continue learning from dawn until Shacharit, according to these principles of the Arizal and the Rashash. So it's those people that are like really doing it every night. It's it's very very hard. Yeah, it's very very hard. To do it one time, fine. To do it like once a week, there is people that are doing it. But those people that are doing it every day, that's it's a serious devotion. Basically, you can't do like you can't go to any weddings, engagements, all kinds of things like that. Like after you finishing Arvit, eating something and go to sleep. That's it.
Be physically strong, also.
Right,
really
right,
strong, yeah.
right. Anyhow, so that's another conversation for another time.
Do you continue?
Yeah, continue. Yeah.
When you go under the water in the mikveh, think about yourself as an embryo in the womb of the mother. Also, the gematria of mikveh is 151, which is equal to the gematria of the name Aleph Hey Yud Hey. When each letter is expanded and spelled as follows, meditate on it while under the water. Aleph
K Yud K. So this is called the name. This name is called Kana because of the gematria. 151 is in Aleph Bet is Kana. Kuf Nun Aleph, and this is the gematria of mikveh, and this is the basic meditation for mikveh. So
what's the Aleph K Yud K means?
Ekeye. With what you're doing the milui of the letters. So the Aleph is Aleph Lamed Pei. What?
What's that word mean? It's just one of the names of Hashem?
Yeah.
L-B with L-B, that's what Moshe was told.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can speak about each one of those names like for a long time. There's like each one of the names is full of meanings, but for now we'll be satisfied with that.
When you exit the water, meditate that you are reborn, clean, pure, and ready to serve Hashem.
So that's like again that's like very very basic meditation for the mikveh, right? So we're coming to the mikveh with all of the different reasons that we go to the mikveh with, and what we want that will happen when we're going to the mikveh is that we will rejuvenate, right? Reborn. So the mikveh is like the womb, and when we're going out of the mikveh, so we are reborn, we are fresh, we are clean, pure. right? That's the idea. On top of that, if you want to add, so you can like made it how when you're going under the water, so all the schmutz, all the dirtiness, all the impurity stays out and cannot follow you and disappears. And if you want to add more than that, you can make it on the light of Hashem that comes to you and give you this strength of rejuvenating and so on. All of that can be applied, and much more than that. There's many meditations that are connected to those concepts. One of them that we have later on in the Siddur that we will get to discuss B'ezrat Hashem is the concept of the 4 kinds of death of Beit Din. Skila, Srifa, Erik, V'chenek. So this meditation, which is like one of the basic meditations that we did bring in the Siddur, the idea there is to get elevation to the name of Elokiy. The Yud-Kei Vav-Kei and the Adni goes together, elevate to the name of Elokiy. So also here we see the name of Elokiy, which is related to mikveh. So that's like another meditation that can be applied under the water. And just to make sure, the mikveh of our days is dirty place with showers and bathrooms and so on. So you can't meditate on a place that is dirty, right? So the answer is, if you can, if you're not sick, go to the cold mikveh, and then the cold mikveh. So if you have like a barrier of the walls of the mikveh, so it makes a separation, and then it's a private domain for itself that is not part of the place of the showers and the bathrooms. Then in that like little private domain of the cold water mikveh, you can do those meditations. But also then you have to hold your hand to your chest to make a separation between the heart and the private organ, and then you can halachically you can also say bracha. I'm not saying to say any brachot inside of the mikveh, but theoretically could have. So the same thing, we can also do all of the meditations. Okay? Yeah?
There's, even if you don't put you do have to put the division here? Or just as long as your head is above the water?
It's not about the head. It's about making a separation between the heart and the private organ.
The water itself does not serve as a separation.
If the water is blurry, it is. But the water in the mikvahs usually are clean, not blurry.
Not the one.
So even it's blurry. So and you're standing in the water, inside of the water, that it under the heart. So it's like under, and the water level is under the heart. So then it will be the separation.
If a person can't go to the mikveh for some reason, the next best alternative is to pour 13.5 liters, 9 kabin, over himself. Ideally, the water would be poured all at once. If for some reason one can't, it can be done in a few pours. If the above cannot be done, one should take a shower, then wash his hands 40 times, to substitute the 40 seah of water of the mikveh. During the first 20 pours, picture spelling out the name Av. Yud, Vav, Dalet.
Av, it means like the 72 names. Okay. The name that the gematria is 72, which is the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei with the Yudin, right?
While pouring the water alternately on each hand, picture Yud for the first pour on the right, then Yud for the left, Vav for the right, then Vav for the left, etc. Then the next 10 pours spell out the name Av. While pouring consecutively 10 over just the right hand, then the last 10, do the same thing for the letter left hand.
It says spell out, but it means meditate on.
So all 4 is 72?
Yeah.
The 10, the 4 sets of 10 is always 72?
Yeah.
Then the last 10, do the same thing for the left hand. And after that, say the following pasuk 10 times. Lev taor vera li Elokim veruach nachon adesh bekirbi.
Okay.
Adesh.
So then there's another prayer here from the Ben Ish Chai that this washing of the hands will be considered to be instead of going to the mikveh. So somebody that needs to go to the mikveh and he can't for whatever reason, so that will be, I don't know if second best option, but like one of the followed the possibilities to do.
Do you say this intention if you were to do it? Would you say this intention, this declaration of intention?
This prayer, I don't say that usually, but it's good to pray to Hashem. Okay. It's a little bit late. I wanted to say a little story about the Rashash, so we'll hold it here.
What's the Rashash's full name?
Rabbi Shalom Sharabi. Rabbi Shalom Sharabi. Really, Sharabi, it means like that he came from a place called Sharab. His family name was Mizrahi. So Rabbi Shalom Mizrahi Sharabi, that he came from Sharab.
His father's name's what?
I'm not sure.
No, I want to light a candle when I go home.
Right.
Can you...
Let's see if we have it here.
There's a Rashash right over there. I don't know, is that it? There's a Siddur Rashash.
No, I don't think it will say there. I think it's just saying what I said now, but
Yeah, it's just fine.
yeah. Shalom Mizrahi Diadia Sharabi. Yeah, doesn't speak about his anyhow.
What's the idea mean? Somebody wants to tell me.
That he knows, the one that knows. So there's many stories I can say about the Rashash, but like the main point, why the Rashash is so important. For there was many tzaddikim, there was many mikubalim. Why the Rashash is so important? So through the writings of the Arizal, many times it's very, very confusing. And one of the reasons is that it seems that Rabbi Chaim Vital, the student of the Arizal, he is the one that wrote those writings. Basically, he heard from the Arizal, he went back home and he wrote. And then when the Arizal passed away, a year and a half after they started to learn, so he had like a whole pile of writings, and he also took the writings of the other students, and he had all of this pile of writings, and he didn't want to deal with it. He said, that's it, the Arizal passed away, we don't have the permission to deal with it. He put it aside, didn't want to deal with it. Yeah? Then there's a whole story about like that he got sick, and while he got sick, so the other students they took the writings and they made like they wrote it like for themselves. They copied, they gave it to 100 writers, and they like quickly before he wakes up, because everybody was like afraid for me because he was he was the biggest guy around. So they copied it quickly and they put it back to the place as if nothing happened. After they put it back to the place, then he woke up from his sickness. So you see that his sickness was something from heaven, that those writings will get spread. So anyhow, one thing is that those writings that they wrote got spread, and that's the Kabbalah that got to Europe, the writings of the Arizal. But Lamaise, it seems that afterwards, many years afterwards, the Malchu himself, Rabbi Chaim Vital, he went over those writings and he wrote commentaries on his own writings. Whatever he wrote from the time that he learned from the Arizal, he wrote commentaries on that. And many times he says, like, what I wrote here doesn't make sense. I don't know, like maybe I heard it from someone else. I have a doubt, what exactly did I hear? There's something, all kinds of different things that he himself, he said, there's something wrong here, that it doesn't fit. And then after he passed away, so his son, Rav Shmuel Vital, he continued the same work. And he also had some different commentaries. And all of the Mekubalim, whoever saw those writings, was amazed from the wisdom of the Arizal. But there is many things that are not clear. Yeah. Now came the Rashash, a young boy from Yemen, came to Yerushalayim, and all of the big Mekubalim were sitting in the yeshiva of Bethel, and they couldn't figure out. They had questions. No one was able to answer. And he came there and he was listening while he was serving them tea and so on. and he was able to figure out. He knew the answers. He just knew it. For the Rashash, the Kabbalah of the Arizal was clear. He didn't have like those problems. All of those different Mekubalim, even the Maruch himself, the student that heard those classes from the Arizal, he had questions. The Rashash that came like about 100 years later, he didn't have questions on those writings. He just continued from wherever the Arizal stopped. He just continued. He continued to explain. So, for those people that are following the Rashash, the answer is simple. It's the same neshama. The soul of Rabbi Chaim Vital is a different soul, and the soul of the Rashash is the same soul of the Arizal, the same neshama. So it's true that the Arizal came to teach Rabbi Chaim Vital, yes, and then he passed away for whatever reason. It says that speaks about it in the end of Shara Gilgulim, but bottom line, he passed away. And before he passed away, he said to his students came to the Arizal and asked him, what are we going to do? Like, who will teach us? So the Arizal told him, if you will have the merit, I will come back and I will teach you again. Right? So that's my tradition, that this is the Rashash. The Rashash is the same neshama of the Arizal that came back again to continue the class from wherever he dropped it when he had to leave the world for 100 years, came back and continued the class basically. And this is amazing, because you see through all of the Etz Chaim, all of this big book that I just looked in to find if there's extra name for the father of the Rashash. There's commentaries of the Rashash, there's footnotes all the time, and all the time he's make like all kinds of commentaries that you see that things that were not clear to the Maruch is clarifying, and you're asking yourself like, how can it be? The Maruch was there in the class. The Rashash comes 100 years later. How can he clarify something that is not clear to the Maruch? So I don't have any other answer except of this answer that I told you. That is what I received from the Yeshiva Betel, and that's not only the approach here in the Yeshiva Betel. There's the approach of all of the big Mekubalim that are following the footsteps of the Rashash, and Baruch Hashem, we got the merit to be able to learn those writings and to pray with those advanced meditations. And Bezrat Hashem, I hope that all of the people that have the desire and the inspiration to follow this way and to apply those meditations, gradually, slowly get to be able to apply those advanced meditations of the Rashash. Bezrat Hashem. And the merit of Rabbi Shalom Mizrahi Sharapi will protect us and all of Am Yisrael, and with his merit, Bezrat Hashem, to have salvations, each one for whatever needs, and Bezrat Hashem to have the revelations that Hashem wants to give us with the applications of Mashiach and Bet HaMikdash and everything. Bezrat Hashem, soon in our days. Today, Bezrat Hashem.
Amen.
Amen.